in a fundamental sense, it's very difficult for people like me right now in the Congress because, as many of you know, I'm one of the more fiscally conservative members of the entire Congress, and people say, well, why does that all change when it comes to military spending? Why all of a sudden do you advocate the strongest military possible and say that defense cuts are out of they're off base? And I would just say simply that if a person cares about the economy, and I know Randy made this very erudite point already, if we care about this economy, if we want to see America be productive, it has to be in a secure environment. And I think all of us underestimate the reach of the American military across the world, how they're able to keep shipping lanes open, to keep markets secure, how they're able to point to this nation being the most secure nation on earth, where investment can be dragged from the four corners of the planet. I will just have to say to you that I think if we could only do one thing for our economy, if we could only do one thing as a government, it would be to keep this nation secure and make sure that our military was second to none in the world. So I start out with that, and I can't thank you again enough for your steadfast dedication to the U.S. Constitution and to making sure that common defense continues to be a focal point of everything that we do. And I'm grateful for your work, on and off the Hill here, Frank. That's amazing. Despite the clearly written responsibility in Article 1, Section 8 of our Constitution, all of you know that we're now facing a moment where we're in danger of gutting our military to the point of transforming the unipolar superpower of the world into a regional power. Depending on which tables are used, military cuts are ranging now, budget cuts from $350 to $465 billion over 10 years. And to require our armed forces to operate on a shoestring is not only unwise, it is a threat to both, again, our national security and our financial security. 2 airplanes hitting 2 buildings cost this nation's economy $2 trillion. I don't know if there's a better example of saying that we could be penny wise and very pound foolish here if we're not cautious. The reality is that if maybe we had spent just a little bit more money on intelligence, maybe if our people could have had a little bit more resources, maybe 911 would have just been another day. Now, I know as young as I look, none of you think that I was around in 1980, but I was. And if you remember back with me, some of you that might be able to do that, you remember the disastrous military event dubbed Desert One, during which Jimmy Carter greenlighted a rescue mission to rescue hostages held in Tehran. Now, what doomed that mission from the beginning was not the skill or courage of our men in arms, nor was it the mentality of doing more with less. They were just asked to do things with a hollow force. And we saw a similar situation following the Clinton procurement holiday that left us unable to adequately respond even to the 911 attacks. Going to war in Afghanistan and Iraq with Reagan-era platform weapons is what we had to do. And as all of us know too well, those who do not learn from history, again, are doomed to repeat it. And I'm told in this place that the only thing that we learn from history is that we don't learn from history. And it seems to be the case. Yet here we are with the probability of funding our military at levels not seen since before World War II, if you count it as a percentage of our total authorized budget. Now, I wonder, even in the times in 1939 when we were having, I know most of you don't remember that one, when we were having difficulty financially, I suppose our entire focus was on that. And maybe that's why we spent less. Maybe we just didn't have a GDP. But I wonder if, at the time that we were ignoring our military, if we realized that World War II was at our door. I wonder if perhaps if we had had a stronger budget, maybe Pearl Harbor never would have occurred. I don't know, but I know that at least the question exists. Let me be very clear. The proposed budgets to the defense that are out there now will cripple our military and leave us with an impotent force. With the passing of the Budget Control Act, Congress has taken the future of our military and national defense from the collective minds of 535 members and placed it in the hands of 12, which is one of the reasons that I voted against the bill. And now this, I'm convinced that if this so-called super committee fails and sequestration is triggered, it will mean undoing the greatest military force in the history of humanity, and potentially the beginning of our financial ruin as well, because it's of all the things that Randy said earlier about how military monies ripple throughout the economy. All of us know that. If there's any government stimulus that does work, if there is, and I think the question is still a worthy question, but if there is, it's the military, because we create, or I say military, I shouldn't say we, the military creates all kinds of ripples in our economy, and the high-paying jobs that are a result, the ancillary sciences that are affected, all the things the military do. If there is any true stimulus that the government can make, it is to keep this country strong and to invest in the men and women who give everything they have for all of us. Not only do these cuts jeopardize our national security, of course they endanger our economy. Today, some would demand that those who selflessly do battle on behalf of all of us must find a way to do with even less. And not only is such a mindset shameful, it compromises our national security. It has been proven to be unwise in the past, and it is sure to be unwise in the future. History reminds us again and again that a robust national security is critical to any economic security. You know, I just returned from Israel, and let me suggest to you that that nation feels under siege. And I think they have every right to. This administration has reserved more open rebuke for our most important ally for building homes in their capital city of Jerusalem than it has reserved rebuke for a madman like Mahmoud Ahmadinejad for building nuclear weapons to threaten the peace of the entire human family. Let me suggest to you that we are going to have to all pull together and make sure that not only do we fight in the next 5 weeks to make sure that we don't let these critical moments pass and see our military hollowed out, but we need to fight in the next year and a half to make sure that the next Congress and the next president understand some of the challenges that are facing us in the world. I have 3-year-old twins, and of course I waited a long time for them. They mean more to me than anything I can possibly express to you. And I know more than anything else that what you all do gives them a chance to walk in the sunlight of freedom. And for that I thank you and I appreciate your time.